I love fish. To me, they embody a mixture of calmness and silliness. Sometimes you could see a fish so beautiful that it makes you want to cry tears of joy, and other times you see a fish and wonder who it pissed off to look like that. They're goofy, they're pretty, they're just neat. But you know what else I love? That's right, first-person shooters. I promise I'm going somewhere with this. I've already talked about my love for FPS games in my video about Blood, so I won't go into detail here, but they're essentially my go-to video game genre. Give me a gun and a room full of enemies, and you'll see me have a grand old time. So what happens when you combine the silliness of fish and the fun of a first-person shooter? Well, hopefully something better than this. This is Guns and Fishes, a game in which you have guns that shoot fish. That's about all it has to do with the title. I got it in one of those Steam key bundles and knew nothing about it besides the game page in my Steam library. It appeared to be a charming and silly shooter in which you play as a diver and, I don't know, shoot fish or something. And while I wasn't entirely wrong, I was far from right in my assumption. Guns and Fishes is a game that pits you as a deep sea diver, who runs across rooftops and kills red guys? No, that can't be right. Why would he do that? He should be like underwater or something, or using fish, or shooting fish. Oh, he's not shooting fish, he's shooting fish. That's the gimmick of this game. Your bullets are physics-based, as instead of bullets, they're actual fish. And depending on the type of weapon you're using, it affects the type of fish. The crossbow shoots swordfish, the rocket launcher shoots pufferfish, the homing gun shoots squid. Every weapon is unique in the sense that they each have their own fish to shoot. Now, is every weapon viable or valuable? Kind of. See, a first-person shooter has done well when every weapon it provides feels like it has a use. For example, in Halo, every weapon has a counter or a specific use besides just shooting someone. It adds a layer to combat that forces the player to think a little bit more, and in turn makes every weapon feel valuable. While I'm not expecting a $3 early access game to have god-tier game design, I'm at least expecting a use for every weapon. What I got instead was gunplay that just feels pointless. Headshots are an instant kill on almost all enemies, so I mostly use the shotgun to guarantee that at least one of my fired fish would hit the red guy's head. There's no reason trying to stress over getting headshots when you can just spray and pray. Now, all of that being said, the gunplay doesn't feel bad. You'll likely pull off a couple of plays that feel genuinely impressive. Once you get into a groove, especially in the earlier levels, you'll find yourself landing headshot after headshot in an oceanic frenzy, leaving a trail of wet bodies in your wake. Ew. Now you know what doesn't feel good: the platforming. See, this isn't just a shooter, this is a movement shooter. And I have never put heavier quotation marks on a phrase, as the movement in this game is damn near geriatric. I'm not sure if the physics were left unfinished or if they just weren't programmed properly, but they hinder you every hop, skip, and jump of the way. There's wall running, which is so broken that sometimes you'll latch onto a wall by just walking into it. There's sliding, which is only actually needed like maybe once. And there's the grappling hook. Oh god, the grappling hook. The grappling hook is required in later levels to progress. While usually it can be a nice crutch to save you from naturally awful platforming, it also shows you the jankiness of this game's physics. I learned through the grappling hook that your momentum is tied to the object you're sitting on. For example, when I would accidentally grab onto the spinning blade of this helicopter, I would continue to rotate in place despite grappling somewhere else. You can see it here as I move side to side while grappling forward. On level 20, the final level, I spent way too long trying to just cross a simple gap. This is a task that would be easy as pie in any normal grappling hook based game. But in Guns and Fishes, it becomes a test of will and determination. Just you versus the god-awful physics engine. Now you may be wondering, what's the story? That's the neat part, there is none. This game just starts and ends. The ending does have a cutscene, but calling it a cutscene is generous as it's just a small comic that shows the diver executing a red guy. And this isn't even a spoiler, as the literal final shot of the entire game is shown in the trailer for the game itself. There's 20 levels in total that ramp up in difficulty, but instead of doing so in creative or frankly good ways, you're just faced with more bullshit platforming or a load of enemies. I actually had to cheese a couple of levels simply because I could not complete the platforming the game was forcing upon me. But in terms of story, there's just nothing here. As for sound design, it's very wet. Every gun makes a splash or sploosh, and every bullet impact feels sloppy. To be fair, it does sound like you're slapping fish around, so I mean that's something. Honestly, that wouldn't be so bad if the soundtrack also complemented it, but that small sound loop you just heard? That's the soundtrack for the entire game. No breaks, no restarts, the loop just starts when you boot the game up and ends when you close the game. And man, does it get old. I checked the Steam page for this game, and in all fairness, this was the developer's first title. On top of this, the game is in early access. However, the game appears to be abandoned, and the developer is now working on a new title, so I doubt Guns and Fishes will ever be fully finished. And honestly, that might be for the best. See, I like the idea of this game. A wacky FPS game with some fun movement options and some unique weapons. But it's clear that there wasn't a set direction for where the game should go next. There's no story, no distinct designs, no gimmick that holds your attention, it's just bland. It's polished enough to not feel like a mobile game, but unpolished enough to not feel like a valid Steam release. I want to give this game a higher praise, but I just can't do that in good faith. If you're looking for a game about guns and fishes, well, look somewhere else besides Guns and Fishes. Thanks for watching.